Spacing and alignment are things you'll want to tweak with each app you create. In Windows Phone, working with margins is very similar to working with CSS. You define a margin for the various sides of the box surrounding your object. In this video, we'll add margins around the new text block components and their background containers to help add some more visual space to the layout. If you're continuing from the previous video, you can continue from where we left off. If not, open the Start project for this lesson located in the downloaded exercise files. The margins for our background containers are off slightly from the objects above it. If you draw a line, you'll see that the sides of the components don't line up. We can adjust this by adding margins to the containers. To start, let's select the Stack Panel component. While we can do this in code, I want to show you another way to select it. On the left-hand side, open the Document Outline Flyout panel. This shows a hierarchical view of your app, showing the parent containers for various objects. This panel makes it easier to select within a complex layout. From this panel, select the Tip Panel object. To close the panel, click the panel name on the left. With the object selected, we can now add some margins to help space it out on the screen. Let's do this first using the Properties panel. Open the Properties panel and expand the Layout section. This will show the layout attributes for the selected Stack Panel object. You'll see here at the bottom of the section there are 4 boxes representing the different sides of the Stack Panel. The arrows indicate which side you are changing, either the left, the right, the bottom, or the top. Let's start by adding 12 to the left side and press Enter to commit the value. You'll notice that the object is now slightly narrower, with 12 pixels of margin added to the left. The design view also displays the number 12 to show that there is a margin applied to the selected object. If you look closely, you'll also see that the text block within the Stack Panel has moved over as well. That is because it is located within the Stack Panel, so it moves with the changes we made to the Stack Panel. Let's go ahead and add 12 for the other values. Now there is some comfortable space surrounding the Stack Panel, giving the app some needed breathing space between the various components. We'll need to adjust the margin of the text block within the Stack Panel, so let's select it and change the values a bit. First, select the text block. Now it's vertically spaced nicely, so we just want to change the left and right values. Let's set them to 10. Again, we'll use the Properties panel to make the changes. So open the Properties panel and change left 10 and right to 10. There, now it looks nice and spaced out. And let's take a look now at the code that was created for us. If we look at the code, we'll see that the 2 margin attributes were added to the Tip Panel and Tip Amount components. In the first example, the margin is set to 12. This means that all 4 margins are the same value, in this case, 12. In the Tip Amount component, there are 2 values, separated by a comma. The first defines the right and left margins, in this case 10. The second defines the top and bottom margins, or 0. Now, while this shorthand is clean, I find it can be confusing to remember the differences between a single value, a double value, or when there are 4 unique values for each side. So let's expand each of these to show each value independently. Let's go ahead and first change the Tip Panel. So we're going to go ahead and change 12 as a single value and put in 12, 12, 12, 12. Now we're actually defining each one individually. Again, I find this much more readable than just a single value because you're able to distinguish what each value means. The order of these values are left, top, right, and bottom. It goes clockwise starting from the left side. Now let's repeat this with the other margin setting. Since we're working with only the left and right, we would want to have 10, 0, 10, and 0. This defines the left and right with 0 values for the top and bottom. So let's go ahead and back into our margin attribute here. And again, we'll change this to 10, 0, 10, 0. Now, ultimately, you should see no changes in the design view because we didn't change any of the values. We're just showing them in a more expanded and complete way. We can also apply these changes directly in code. So let's do that to Total Panel and Total Amount components. So if we go into the Total Panel, just like we did with Tip Panel, we can add in margin and set it for 12, 12, 12, 12. Now let's go to Total Amount, and we'll add in margin, 10, 0, 10, 0. Great. So we got the same result, but this time we did it entirely in code. So in this video, we added a margin to some of the layout and text components in our app. To help select these, we use the Document Outline panel to select objects and then apply margin settings to them. To apply margins, you can work with the Properties panel, or you can work with them directly in code. In code, the margins can be shown in one of 3 ways: a single value that applies equally to all, 2 values that apply to the left, right, or top, bottom, or 4 values starting from the left and rotating clockwise around the object or left, top, right, and bottom.